Hey guys, Brad with Family Handyman. For this year's garage project, I was tasked with constructing a countertop, but not just any ordinary countertop. As you can see, this countertop swings out from underneath the main countertop, giving you an extra 5 feet of surface that you can use for a workbench, serving cocktails, or whatever. Let me show you how I built it. I pulled out the cabinets and shortened them to accommodate the thickness of the swing out plus 1/4 inch. If you're working with an existing bank of cabinets, you'll also need to modify their width to create about a 6-inch gap. I reassembled the cabinets when I was done. With the cabinets reassembled, I needed to cut down the drawer and drawer fronts on the table saw. I cut a piece of sheet stock as wide as the cabinet's depth and as long as the space between my full height cabinets minus a 1/4 inch. I drove a screw into the pivot point, then using a string and pencil as a compass, I marked the front and back edge of the counter, then connected the marks with a straight edge. Lastly, I cut a 2-inch radius on the pivot corner to give clearance for the counter's rotation. I traced my template onto the oak swing out blank, then I cut the angle and the radius corner. I gave all the edges a 1/4 inch round over. Next, I cut all the cabinet parts. I drew the top and bottom on a blank and then tacked a guide board on the line. I set my fence so that I cut on the line with the guide board against the fence. With the first piece cut, my offcut also had an angled side, so I was able to cut the other part with a straight rip. I tacked all the parts together using glue and brad nails. I added wood screws later for strength. I filled the nail and screw holes as needed. When the filler was dry, I sanded the cabinet and the door before priming and painting. I mounted fixed casters to the cabinet's bottom using lag screws. To get the casters to match the height of the cabinet's toe space, I tacked riser blocks underneath their bases. Since the cabinet travels in an arc, I mounted the casters on that same arc. With the swing out upside down on my work surface, I set the cabinet in place. I pre-drilled countersunk clearance holes through the cabinet's top and pilot holes into the swing out, then attached the cabinet using wood screws. Next, I sanded the top and applied a wipe-on polyurethane finish. With the swing out in position, I marked the pivot location on the underside of the cabinet top and then drilled a pilot hole through the cabinet top and the swing out, just touching the underside of the counter. Then I pulled the assembly out and pre-drilled the pilot hole for the threaded insert. Next, I drove the threaded insert into the pre-drilled hole. With the swing out assembly in place, I slipped on the washers and drove the bolt into the threaded insert. So that's how it's done. And one of my favorite parts, because of the gap required between the cabinets, I was able to turn the support leg into a narrow triangular cabinet for a little bit of extra storage with this magnetic lock. So adding a countertop like this to your garage really takes your space to the next level. For more cool projects like this, head to familyhandyman.com.